Tonight, the temporary protection status for more than 300,000 Haitians living in the U.S. has ended. It is the largest such rollback since the Trump administration began its immigration crackdown. Move follows a Supreme Court ruling last month that cleared the way to end protections for Haiti and Syria. A source familiar with the situation telling ABC News that ICE is expected to ramp up operations targeting Haitian TPS holders, with the biggest operations targeting those larger Haitian communities.
Those mass deportations are expected to focus on several states, including Ohio. Thousands of Haitian immigrants have been living under temporary protected status, most of them in central Ohio, including in Springfield. That community made headlines quite often in 2024 when President Trump falsely claimed that Haitians there were eating people's cats and dogs, with no evidence to back it up. Tonight, the pastor of First Haitian Evangelical Church in Springfield is saying he can see fear in his community.
We can see that in their eyes. We can see the sadness. You can see they are very, very sad in this moment. So me as a pastor, I'm here for encouraging to say, hey, stay focused.
And those same fears and concerns also being felt tonight very close to home.
Thousands of Haitians are living in Hancock County, specifically in the Findlay area. 13 Action News reporter Matt Merchant traveled to the Flag City today and has more on what the mayor there has to say tonight.
Roughly 1,000 Haitians were living here in the Flag City.
We've been watching this go through the court process. We've been communicating to our Haitian population that if this is revoked, then they are technically considered illegal in the United States, and so they need to make appropriate plans to either find a different way to stay in the country legally or find a residence elsewhere.
Findlay Mayor Christina Mern said over the past year, the Haitian population in the area has decreased, but for those who are still here, she recommends seeking legal help.
If somebody is here in the United States on temporary protected status and looking for other pathways to be able to stay in the country, then I would recommend that they seek out a lawyer.
Mern says while Findlay will uphold federal law, the city's focus is to make sure immigrants have resources they need within the community. That was the reasoning behind the formation of the city's Immigration Task Force in 2024, which helps enhance existing social services.
So the Immigration Task Force has really just been a group of local agencies trying to communicate with each other and problem solve as different issues have arose with our immigrant population over the years. Assistance in explaining, how the healthcare system works or how to find housing, what different paperwork they need to have with them. It's all of those different nuances.
Despite the expiration of temporary protected status, Mayor Mern says she has not received any notification that ICE agents are in the city or planning to come anytime soon. But she also says this.
If somebody is concerned that someone is not the appropriate law enforcement, call the Findlay Police Department so that our officers can just ensure that they are who they say they are. Again, hopefully ICE would communicate with us in advance so that we can assist them in making sure that things are implemented appropriately.
Matt Mergen, 13 Action.